Hello everyone and welcome to a desirable and a handsome looking French hatchback, and one which is superb to look inside and out, which is this new Peugeot 208. So in today's video we're going to be finding out everything in detail about this 208. It is a ridiculously windy day today. So this Peugeot 208 is offered in two different variants, which is your Active Plus and the GT. So the one that I'm reviewing is the GT line version, which is the top of the range, and on this you get this blacked out grille out here with this glossy black strip on the top, and then this chrome bits around it with the Peugeot badging in the chrome. At the bottom there is normal black color grille, and the bumper itself is pretty sporty in that sense. There's also this 208 badging in chrome, and there are also these headlights and also the DRL, so it's like in the claw shape, 3 claw. So this is what you get out here, and the headlight cluster is a completely LED headlight cluster. It's got the turn signals, it's got everything in there inside of it out here. There are also DRLs in this 3 clawed shape which extend till the bottom. Now on the sides you get these piano black color plastic arches in here to protect your fender, and also in the back you gotta give it to Peugeot for trying out a little bit different things, and I like it. It actually looks nicer from the side profile if you see, and because it's in black it just adds to the value of the car. And on the sides you would find these 17-inch alloy rims, and on the base variant, which is the Active Plus, you would get the 16-inch alloy rims, and at the bottom a rather plain design. There is a bit of a skirting in here to again make it look a little more sportier. And in terms of these side mirrors, these are black color side mirrors, and they are power foldable, they are also power adjustable, they also have the blind spot warning inside of them. There is also this turn signal that has been given. There is a glossy black surround around these windows, and this GT badging which you find out here in the chrome. Again in the back 17-inch alloy rims, and it actually sits pretty low in here, so it actually gives it that very sporty kind of appearance. And it's also pretty tiny in that sense, because it's supposed to be a super mini in that case. And there's also this black color glass roof that has been given. And when you come to these doors, are smart keyless entry doors. There's also Peugeot badging on the door sills, and once I'm done closing the door and I walk away, it automatically closes the doors. Now in the rear, when you look at the car, as I mentioned, it sits pretty low, but also it's pretty tiny. Like, yeah, it's kind of just this much, but nonetheless it looks pretty good and pretty GT like, if you ask me. Now in the back you get the same 3 clawed tail lights out here, which are completely LED. Turn signals, reverse, everything is LED. There is also this black color glossy plastic on which you will find the Peugeot badging in chrome, and on top the logo of it. There's also this black color spoiler, glossy black in here with the brake lights that are given. At the bottom of this bumper you would find again piano black plastic, under which you will find 2 chrome exhaust tips. There's also this fog light, centrally mounted fog light that has been given. There's also this 208 badging in here, the GT badging on the other side. Now in terms of the visibility, it's slightly restricted, because if you notice the rear glass is pretty small, so yeah, there's a bit of a restriction in terms of that, but not too much. When you come to the boot space, fairly easy to open this boot door because the car sits so low. Now when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 311 liters of luggage out here in the back, and it's pretty deep that way. It's like, if I just sit down inside, I hope I can come out. You see, I'm like quite low down inside this boot. There's also carpet lining in here, but there are no tying points or anything as such that are given. There is also this boot separator, pretty, yeah, just give it a knock and it just comes off, and you can put it down also, but it consumes a little bit of space in here. So when you remove that, you can increase a little bit of boot space also. And the boot opening is pretty nice and broad, but the only thing is that you have to put your luggage in and out. It's going to be a little bit of a task because it's quite deep that way. Underneath the boot floor you will find a temporary spare wheel along with the toolkit that has been given, and the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40. It's easier to do it from here, so you just push these buttons. And the problem is that the seat belt actually lies on top of that, so you have to remove that seat belt every single time when you're folding these seats. That's the only thing. And also when you're putting the seats back, again those seat belts come in the way. So once I fold these seats, so when the rear seats are folded down, you can put longer objects. That's about it, because there's a fair bit of step that you have out here, so that will be really restrictive in terms of putting the luggage in and out that way. But yeah, if you have longer objects, definitely you can use this space that way by folding the rear seats. And when you're done, you have to just manually, there are handles given out here, put this boot door down, because it's just so convenient to pull it as it sits low. So that's again pretty easier. Now, as I mentioned when I opened the video, that this car is superb as it is outside, and the same is on the inside also. So you get a double layered dashboard in here with some pretty premium quality materials that have been used. And to start off with, this dashboard is soft touch material in here. Out here it's soft touch, bit of plastic around. The door cards are plasticky, but the quality of plastic is decent, I would say, so it's not soft touch. Then there is this carbon fiber design print which is given on this door card, continues behind the steering wheel and goes swooping around onto the other side, so which is why it's double layered. And this carbon fiber is just like a layer covered on top of the plastic, makes it slightly soft. Underneath that it's plastic, even on the sides it's plastic. Then this piano black plastic around these switches and around the infotainment screen at the bottom of these switches, even out here near the cup holders and the gear shifter, and where you're going to be resting hands, that's leather covered. The seats are a mixture of leather and fabric, so it's a mixed bag. And even the steering wheel is leather covered, and there's also this green color stitching on the seats, even on the dashboard out here, on this stick, and even on the steering wheel. So everywhere they've given these sort of touches. Then there's this unique driver's display where you have these openings around that on both the sides. So yeah, it's actually a very different looking interior experience than you would find on any other hatchback. In that case, this is in fact the most stylish hatchback that you will ever sit in. So that way it's a very good job that Peugeot has done with this 208. There are air conditioning vents here. On the other side, even they are rounded off, and where these air conditioning vents meet the door, they have this sort of cutout. Again, all these touches makes it feel very different and sort of premium than the other options which are available in the market. Now, when you come to the driver's display, you get a 10-inch digital driver's display. And first of all, let me tell you, this is a Peugeot i-cockpit 3D display. So this has like 3D display where I don't know if the cameras are picking up, most likely not. So the thing is, the dials in the background are in flat, and then on top of that there is speed that is always shown. And whenever you keep changing different views like navigation and everything, the arrow pointer, all of that would be in 3D. So that's actually pretty cool to look at, and you get it in both the models, the base one also and on this one. So irrespective of any model you choose, you get this one, and it's a brilliant idea. I like it. I've really liked the whole arrangement of these dials and how it looks, because it's very difficult to show it in 3D, but they managed to do that. And then you get speed on both the speed in the middle, and your range on the left side, and your temperature on the other side, and what gear you are on. And you can change the theme of these displays. So the dial has been given out here on the left side, so when you press that, you can change to different views where you have the driving. It takes a little while, that's the only thing, because it's so heavily loaded with graphics, so it takes a little time to take its own sweet time to load up. Then the navigation, then your minimum, where everything will be just minimum and only your speed is shown in the center, so it doesn't show in 3D. Then the personal dials that you can customize from inside this infotainment screen. I'm going to come to that. Then your second personal dials, you can customize all of that, and then you come to your main dials. So that's about it. That's how you change all your display options on this driver's display. And when you want to change the setting, I hope I remember, so you go in the options, then there is this instrument panel cluster where you can change your personalization of this instrument panel. So you have on your left side trip computer, rev counter or distraction, all of that, and accordingly whatever you select on the other side you can select the other things, and then you can see on that your G meter, your engine info and everything. So yeah, that's how you customize this driver's display. And there are also mood lights which are given out here in the front on this dashboard and also on the door cards, but that's only in the front, and in order to change those you have to go into the vehicle. The options are a bit all over the place, so you have to go inside, then the comfort, and then there is mood lighting where you can select 8 different color options that are given: green, aqua, blue, white, yellow, pale, orange, red and pink. So 8 different colors that you can select, and you can switch that, and even the interior intensity of these lights that you can configure also. Now when you come to this steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with a green color stitching, and it's got the GT badging at the bottom and Peugeot badging on the bottom of this center bit with the Peugeot badging. It's also flat bottom on the top and also at the bottom. I've been confused a fair few times as to my steering wheel was upside or down, but the only way to look at it is with the Peugeot badging is upside down, so you know how to figure that out. And the steering wheel is also manually adjustable, which is your tilt and telescopic both. But the thing is that if I keep the steering wheel up, it covers my driver's display, and which is why Peugeot has given this flat bottom on top. So I have to keep it at the lowest most setting. That's when I am able to see the driver's display. So yeah, that's a bit of a compromise that you have to do. So every single time I come out, I hit my leg to the steering wheel, so I take it up first, then I come out, and once I get back in I lower it, and if I don't care to see the speed, or I just have to dodge up and down a little bit, I just do that and leave the steering wheel in that position. But otherwise most of the times I keep the steering wheel down because it's just easier to look at all the information on your driver's display. And on the right side you would find the buttons to control all your media controls, your source and telephone options, and on the left side you would find the buttons for your voice controls and also the volume dial that has been given, and the dial to control the different views on your driver's display. And there's also a cruise control and a speed limiter that is given, but that's behind the steering wheel, which is pretty much invisible if you don't turn it, but you can't turn and use this, so you have to memorize what all options are given. So the stick is given out here, and it's pretty easy that way, is to just put it into limiter or cruise control. There are buttons for settings, memorize, and then in the back there are buttons given to adjust the speed and everything. But yes, this dial is chunky, but it's always hidden behind the steering wheel. Now when you come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning switches are given out here. Some of it basic options like your air circulation, recirculation on and off, max AC, then the rear and the front defogger, all these options are given out here in the form of switches. So I can switch on and off the AC from here. And then if I want to go into the air conditioning controls, on top of that there's this touch button that is given. So there's this panel that is given, so I'm going to come to that. So you press that touch button, you are led into the air conditioning control. So you can change the fan speed from here, and in the middle bit you can change the temperature, but you get dual zone air conditioning system on this 208, and then the flow of air, auto options, and then inside you will find more options if you want to keep it auto, fast and everything. And in terms of the cooling effect, it's all right, I would say. If it's very hot, it takes quite a lot of time, and if you put it in the maximum fan mode, it gets pretty loud. So you need to put that for a while, but then most likely you will just go into the lowest fan speed, and that's when it is relatively quiet in here. So that's how you operate the air conditioning controls. And again, it's much more fiddlier because you have to press these buttons and then go into the various options for your air conditioning, but it's all in the touch screen. And when I'm outside, you will see on both the sides there is temperature that is given on both the sides. So when you press that, you can adjust the temperature on both the sides. So for the driver and the passenger, you can adjust both those things. And at the bottom there's more options where you can switch on the fresh air circulation. You can see all that info that is given on the right hand corner. Now when you come to this infotainment screen, this is again a 10-inch colorful touchscreen display that has been given on this 208 GT, and this infotainment screen is very much aligned towards the driver and in a very hard angle if you see from the side view. So that's quite easier when you're driving around, but if you're on the passenger side, it's a bit of a stretch. sometimes. And in terms of the options, as I mentioned, there are these buttons which are given, touch buttons on top of the switches that are given out here. So you go into the first option, which is your radio or your media options, where you will find all your sources. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there is also wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Then there is the air conditioning controls, you go into that. Then your inbuilt navigation systems that you can use. It's decently quick, not too bad. You can easily find your options in here, but you are going to be using your Google Maps or when you are going to be connected to your Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so that's also sorted out. Then there is the vehicle option, where you will find your parking, headlights, comfort. When you go inside the comfort, you will find your mood settings. Then the safety systems, where you will find your blind spot warning on and off and everything. These are your driving functions. Then the phone option next to that. Then there is the connectivity options, and then you go into the settings option, where you also have the color theme option, where you can change the color of this screen and on your driver's display. So you go into the blue, you can change it into blue color. Again, takes a little while, it's heavily loaded with graphics. Or you can go into, and again, all these are touch buttons, so you have to remember where you're pressing these buttons. So again, that's also a little bit fiddly to work around. Then there is the quartz option, which turns everything into green, so at least it matches your stitching inside the car. But I like the red color, it's much more GT like. And then your next options are the options, where you find your system settings, language, set time, screen, instrument sharing, setting of the profiles, and everything that you will find here, units and everything that you want to set. Then your profile options, which are given out here. So that is your infotainment screen, and that's how you use it. You have to understand a little bit before you start using it. Now when it comes to the charging, you have two USB ports which are given out here on either side in this center console. One is for charging, which is type C, and the other one is the normal USB port that is given. There is also one 12-volt power socket given underneath these controls. There is also a wireless charger, and in order to access that, there is this door that is given. So when you open, it opens like a flap, and then you can put your phones in here, and then you can close it, or if you want, you can keep it, so you have double storage in here. And there are also two more standard USB ports which are given for the rear passenger. Now on this Peugeot 208 GT, you get a panoramic glass roof. It doesn't open on anything, but it's just a glass roof, but it still makes things pretty airy in here. And in terms of the storage, you have quite a bit of things that you can put inside this 208 GT. So in the door cards, you can put easily 1.5 liter water bottle and some more storage on the sides. There is also this storage where you can put your phones and wallets underneath your wireless charger, and then you can utilize the wireless charger also and use like a double storage. As I mentioned, there are two normal cup holders which are given. One is a deeper one is a bit shallow. Then there is this glove box that has been given. Again, that's pretty deep. All the things are pretty deep in here, so you really have to go deep. Then there is this handrest inside which there is quite a bit of space. Again, that is also, you guessed it right, pretty deep. There are, like, you can put easily like 4 half-a liter water bottle and some more storage that you can still put. And this handrest is also extendable, so when you're driving, you can easily put it in your place. But that covers one of your cup holders, so that's the only thing you have to compromise between that. And in the rear door cards, you can put about 1 liter worth of bottle in both the door cards, and there is no cup holders which are given in the center armrest, because there is no center armrest that has been given on this 208 GT. Now there is also a volume dial that has been given on the left side, a dedicated one. Now on this 208 GT, you get a mixture of fabric and leather seats which are in this sporty form, and I like them because it's fabric, the center bit is fabric, so it wouldn't get hot during the summers, and on the sides it's all leather, and these seats hug you so well. Like, I've really found them pretty comfortable and also ergonomically very well, so you sit quite easily in here. There's a nice amount of support underneath the thigh. There's also a slight bit of extension that's already there. You cannot change it or anything, but it's there to support your thighs. And in terms of the comfort, as I said, it's pretty good for longer journeys. And the headrest also have a mixture of leather and this fabric. Then there is also this green color stitching that has been given in the center bit. There's nice bit of side support, and even in the back there's good amount of support that has been given. And in terms of the adjustability, both the driver and the passenger side seat are manually adjustable. And when you come to this gear shifter, so there's a bit of a sequence that you have to go. So you have to press it in order to go into the reverse. You have to flick it into the right side, then you go into the neutral D, which comes onto the left side. Then again, when you want to come back, you have to go reverse, and then you come back into the parking position. Easy, right? Now there's also a drive mode button that has been given out here. So you get 3 different driving modes on this 208 GT, which is your Eco, Normal and the Sport mode. Now in the rear, the driver seat is in my driving position, and as you can make out, there's just about enough of room for my knees out here. So there's about finger worth of room in here, and these seats also have a bit of a curve, so which is why it gives me an extra bit of the knee room. And in terms of the headroom, I'm just about fitting in here. Someone above 6 feet will start brushing their heads against the ceiling. Again, there is a bit of a cutout out here to increase that head space also. But in terms of the seating arrangement, the seats are mixture of the fabric and the leather in this black color, and the design in the center bit with this green color stitching. And you sit quite low down that way, as you can make out from the angle that my knees are making. And the seats are actually pretty narrow also, I find out here, and I get it because there's not much space in here, which is why there's also a bit of a tunnel in here, although this is a front wheel drive car. But yes, there is that, and there are no air conditioning vents which are given. And if you want to sit in the middle, yeah, it's still pretty decent. It's just that the backrest is slightly on the harder side, and it's got a bit of a bulge in here, although the bottom bit is pretty soft, so it's quite comfortable if you want to sit in here. And you cannot slide your legs under the seat also. I mean, how would you? There's literally just slight amount of space, so yeah, even that's not possible. And in terms of the door quality out here, there is plastic door cards that you get here, and there are going to be resting hands that's just leather covered. Again, that's a little thinner one, which is what I find when you're resting your hands. And in terms of the storage, you can put 1 liter worth of water, some more storage. There's also this netted storage, but they are again pretty shallow, they are not very deep, so you can put your phones and wallets in here. There is no hand rest that is given, but you get 3 head rest that are given, and they have the same design that was there in the front seat. So the headrest also have the center bit in fabric and the borders around that in leather. But overall, yes, it's a bit of a tight space in here for the rear passengers, and the floor itself seems a little raised up when you're sat in here. That is because the seats are low down, but to give you that extra bit of headroom to sit here comfortably. But yes, again, the doors are also pretty tiny, so when I open them, coming in and out is a bit of a task from here. Yeah, it's not the biggest doors that you have here, so yeah, getting in and out is also going to be a slight bit of struggle on this 208 GT. So this Peugeot 208 GT is powered by a tiny 1.2 liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine that produces 130 horsepower and 230 Newton meters of torque, and this engine is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission that sends the power to the front wheels. Now, in terms of the power delivery from this engine, it's a punchy engine is what I can tell you. It's so lively, and it's really fast that way. Even though this is only 1.2 liters, still it's so good. And this car weighs a little over 1 ton, so it's lightweight also, and which is why it gives you that quick rapid acceleration also from this thing. And the only thing is that there are only 6 gears in here, so the engine tends to stick to some of the gears longer sometimes. And let me put it in the sport mode, and that's when things become a little more exciting, because the gear changes are towards higher RPM, the throttle response is much more livelier, the steering also becomes slightly harder. But yes, it definitely pulls, that's for sure. It's just that, yeah, because of less gears, it tends to stick around longer, and that's why the engine stresses out a little bit. But the thing is, you even tend to sit quite low down into these seats. You can go really low which is why it makes you feel like you're driving nearly like a sports car. It's that low in these seats. Now in terms of the efficiency from this engine, when you're cruising on a longer runs, you can get anywhere between 12 to 13 kilometers per liter. At least that is what I have managed. Maybe more if you are your light foot, then you can do that. And in order to see the fuel consumption, there is a button given on the right stalk. You press that and on your screen you can see that comes away, that comes up, trip 1, trip 2, and then your current information, and then it goes away when you leave it after like a couple of seconds. So that's the only thing, it never stays in front of your face. And on a regular day-to-day driving inside the city, I'm still getting around 10 to 11 kilometers per liter, which is excellent, to be honest. And again, this car is tiny. It's such a small car, but it's such a lively thing. And this 208 GT is based on this new CMP platform, which is why the chassis itself is so livelier, and yeah, just makes this thing such a fun little thing. Now when it comes to the suspensions, they are a bit on the harder side, I find. I don't know, maybe I find, but these chairs make it comfortable. These seats definitely make it comfortable. But when you're going at lower speeds, the bumps are slightly evident because suspension takes a little while to absorb them. But when you go fast, that's when it irons out a lot of these bumps. And let me do a slalom and show you in terms of the roll, because there's absolutely nothing. It's dancing around from the back. It's kind of slithering around when I'm trying to sharply turn it. It's such a small wheelbase. Oh, it is fun. It is sharp. It's definitely sharp, and it's just so much fun. And in terms of comfort, it's still pretty good in here. Now when it comes to the steering setup, even though this is an electronic steering, again, there's a good amount of feedback to it. It's pointy, it's sharp, and because the wheelbase is so small, it's like that little rat that just goes around. Yeah, it's really fun thing, especially in the corners. And even the turning radius is pretty small, so you can pretty much maneuver around this car into any tighter spaces that you want. And once I turn in, yeah, there is a good amount of feedback. I know where this car is going, and I know exactly where the front is because it's just so small. And when I turn, yeah, it goes really quick into these corners. Again, that wheelbase helps this thing so much. Very nice thing. Now when you come to the noise and the vibrations, the noise, as I said, is majorly from that engine that stresses out when you go at higher RPMs. That's again to do with the gearing, which is why it stresses out. But in terms of the vibrations, there's none actually, because this car has done way too many kilometers. So exactly like 22,300 kilometers, and those have been like media car, in a demo car. So it's done a lot of day-to-day updates also. And after that, this thing is fairly solid. Yeah, still works like a charm. So in that case, very good, decent quality, I would say for sure. Now when you come to the brakes, you get 4-disc brakes on this 208 GT. The rear ones are a little bit skinny ones, but the front ones are decently thick enough. And in terms of the pedal travel, there's a bit of a pedal travel for sure, because it's a little long travel on this thing, and I'm guessing that is because it's done 22,000 kilometers, and maybe the pads have worn out now, or maybe due for servicing, and once you change them it will become a lot lesser in terms of the travel. But let me show you the braking performance by doing a 100 to 0 emergency brake stop. The emergency stop signal comes in. The braking performance is solid. You can feel that the front discs are gripping the front end way aggressively than the rear end, and that is why it tends to just squat and sort of lose the balance a little bit in the back. But again, these are only for emergency purposes that you will brake like this. Now when you come to the safety systems, you get 6 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passengers, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger. There are 2 curtain airbags given in both the frames. There's also child isofix points both the rear seats and also in the front seat. It has been given. There's also a single camera reversing system, but you can select different views from that reversing camera. It can be a little way too bright sometimes, and there's a bit of that thing that goes on, and you can select different views, plus it becomes like a 360-degree camera system. So what it does is, like the other Peugeot cars, it relays the image that it took before and puts it in front of that, and then that's how it makes that 360-degree camera system on that. It's useful, but if someone comes after that, once it has taken that frame into that frame, then you wouldn't be able to notice. That's the thing. So yeah, it's a good reference when things around you aren't moving. So for that, this 360 is very good. There's also ABS, there's also emergency stop signals, there's also lane keep assist that pretty aggressively keeps you in your lane all the time, so I have to switch it off. Then there's also blind spot warning that you get. So you get all the safety systems on this 208 GT. Now when you come to the pricing, so the pricing of this 208 GT is around 89,900 dirhams. I'm not too sure. I'll try to get the exact price, but if I don't, but this is the price that it is. And in terms of that, this car is such a fun little thing. Just keep the price aside. This thing is just a joy to drive every day because it's stylish, as I said, in and out. Like this interior experience, I don't think any recent modern hatchback would give you that. It's quirky, it's all over the place, but in a fun way. It's really enjoyable to use this car. You get this 3D display in here, so you get all the tech inside also and outside. It's like that small the footprint that it has. It's stylish, it looks apart from the hatchback, so it adds that element. So most of those hatchbacks would give you your regular day-to-day criteria. It will fulfill that, like it's good to drive, it's economical, it's everything and all of that. But this one would go above and beyond and give you a little more than that. It's got that factor when you're driving it, and it's a cool factor definitely when you drive this. And for that, you should definitely think of considering this car when you're listing down hatchback. Again, for the rear, if you have like adults traveling around, maybe not, but if you have kids or teenagers, yes, you can think of it. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Give this video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching this video. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you can click here, and if you want to watch more videos, then click here. I shall see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care and stay safe.